All right, good morning. This is Charles with the Exodus Logistics Learning Centers, which features the Dispatcher 101 training for beginners. Today I have a consultation with Mr. Jones, right? Adam Jones. Mr. Jones,
Sir.
how you doing, sir? Future student. He has about 2,000 questions for me. No, I'm just kidding. He has some questions for me, and he's interested in dispatching. So go ahead, Mr. Jones. What's some of your questions?
Okay. Well, first, I just want to say thank you for all the information that you put online. Very helpful resources. And that's pretty much where a lot of the questions came from, just as I started to plan my own my stuff out and kind of how I want to go about it. So one of my questions, I just want to know, like, how far in advance can I book loads for drivers? Do I have to do it like per day, or could I like kind of book out an entire week for them?
That's a great question. You can book out, you can do it per day, but you never, as a dispatcher, you never want to book loads for your driver the day of. Okay.
Okay.
You want to, because you're trying to find a load the same day that they want to move that load, it'd be hard because most of the time those loads are already booked, they're already gone. So
Okay.
you can book loads for your driver the next day, the day before. You understand
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And then as far out as you can go, I would say you could do a week out. That'd be good because because some loads are over the road loads. They might take 2 to 3 days to deliver, right?
Right.
So you can book one load picking up on Monday and it's delivering some 800 miles. So that won't get there maybe till like Wednesday. So now that gave you Monday through Wednesday. So you got that space. And then let's say they delivered that load on Wednesday, early on Wednesday, you may book a load for them either later that afternoon on Wednesday, depending on how many hours of service they have on their trucks, or you may have to book it the following day, Thursday. So now you book, let's say you booked it the following day, Thursday, then now they picked up on Thursday and maybe that load is coming back to where they originally picked the previous load up. So that'll give you another 2 or 3 days. So that may be Thursday over the weekend to the following Monday. So that's a whole week right there for 2 loads.
Right. Okay.
So you could do it like that. So yeah. I would say starting out as a dispatcher, you want to book a week out. And then as you get used to the process, maybe 2 at the most. You don't want to go too far out because maybe you book, let's say you book 2 weeks out. And let's say in the middle of that load, one of those loads in the middle process, let's say you got a load here, and a load here, and that's a 2-week span. The middle load may have gotten canceled. So now you got to scramble finding something to cover that load because you got a load that you got here and you got the third load that you still are committed to, but you have to find something. So you don't want to put yourself too far out. So give yourself enough time to book out, but also at the same time to recover in case something like that happens. You always want to think of worst case scenarios also.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering, because I know like with trucks and things, you know, maintenance or anything could kind of happen in a week to 2 week period. So yeah, that's why I kind of had that question, just to see how far can I go or what's a good length to go in advance. So I guess my next question, but I kind of answered it already. I'm moving to Houston in November. So I was trying to decide if I should start here while I'm still in Chicago after I finish the training, or should I just wait until I get to Houston? But I have a couple of drivers. I know a couple of people here, owner operators already, and I've kind of already talked to them. So I'm more than likely starting as soon as training is over.
Yeah, you can. It doesn't matter where you live. I guess it matters where you live in the sense of where your company is going to be established, your domicile state, as far as your business license and your LLC and stuff like that. But as far as drivers, you can have them all over the country. You know, because you're dispatching, you're working from home. So, but I'm assuming the reason you're asking as far as establishing where you want to establish your business, your base.
Yeah. Like when should I establish the business license?
And you said in November.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on that depends on you, how soon you want to get started, right? If you're willing to wait. So you could be building relationships while you're waiting to go to Houston and then establish the business in Houston, or you can establish it in Chicago, have it established in Chicago and still get businesses and get carries all over, and then maybe transfer your business domicile state from Illinois to Texas. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll start here I'm definitely gonna start here then, and just
Okay.
get through my LLC and stuff, and I'll transfer everything over.
Right.
Especially building relationships.
So your legal structure is going to be an LLC, and then you're going to get an EIN attached to that LLC, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah, I started a pressure washing company too, so I'm familiar with the setup process of the business, like LLC, EIN, DUNS number, bank accounts, and things like that. So kind of familiar with that process.
Okay, cool, cool. So you got that down pat. All right. All right.
Yeah. So let me see. And then with the driver dispatch agreements, are those like is it like a yearly thing, or is it monthly, or is it lifetime, or is that up to my discretion?
It's up to your discretion, but typically we have driver dispatcher agreements until the two parties cancel the agreement within a 7-day written notice. So let me show you in our back office here, our forms and documents and our template for our dispatcher agreement. Right here where it says, if you see my screen where my mouse is moving?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, either party has the right to end this agreement without cause at any time within 7 days written notice by a written request. So either you or the carrier can decide to end the agreement within 7 written days, whenever, a month, 6 months, a year, whatever, right? So that's the escape clause, if you will, between the two parties.
Okay.
Right.
Cool. And then for like loads with deadhead, how does that usually work with, or what is your kind of experience with drivers and loads that they might have to deadhead? Is it kind of a radius where they're kind of comfortable with? Is it something like, all right, that's like out of the way?
Well, the standard deadhead radius that drivers are willing to accept, as long as the load pays enough to substantiate driving that, is 100 miles. That's the most that they'll drive. Now, if it's more than that, then the drivers will ask for what's called a fuel surcharge. They'll ask for extra money to help cover the cost of fuel. So if the load is high enough, and sometimes in the rates that the brokers quote or put on the load boards, fuel surcharge is included in that to help substantiate and cover the cost of fuel, because they realize that some drivers may be coming from a certain distance, but other times it's just used as a motivation for carriers to call those brokers if they see fuel surcharges included in the rate. Because as a broker, they can care less how far a driver is. If they call about that load and they're 200 miles away, that's not the broker's problem. My load is posted. My load is here in Joliet, Illinois. If you're in Madison, Wisconsin, I have nothing to do with that. If you want this load, you're going to have to drive X amount of miles, but it doesn't make sense for you. I'm not going to give you an extra $300 or $400 to cover the fuel cost if you're 400 miles away. I'll just find a driver that's close.
Right.
But the standard radius is 100 miles for the carriers. It used to be 150, it used to be 200 when the rates were pretty, like at 2018, 19, where the rates were pretty good. But it's like a standard is 100 miles. So.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. That makes sense. So then I guess my other question I had too was if I was booking to a state that's kind of like one of those states where it's not a lot of loads that usually come out of them, should I kind of, before I book that load that's going to the state, I guess, or dropping off in that state, should I kind of already be planning to see if they have something coming out of there before I actually confirm that rate, so that driver kind of doesn't get stuck?
Correct. Either that or not send the driver to that state to begin with.
Right.
So here's a resource that we use. One of our load boards we use is 123 load board. And one of the features in that load board, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
One of the features of the load board, 123 load board, is a feature called load availability. And what it does is it shows in alphabetical order all the states and the volume of outbound and inbound freight coming into that state across the 3 major equipment types: dry vans, flatbeds, and reefers, and the other specialized ones too, but for the most part, the 3 major semis. Okay, so you can pretty much tell. And we have another resource that we use, trend lines, that shows the zones in the states and the hot markets. So you'll know specifically for a particular equipment type where to send your carrier into and out of based off of the volume of loads inbound and outbound. So you can pretty much say, like the Midwest zone or the Midwest states, Ohio, Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, they have a high volume of inbound and outbound freight. So you can get loads into and out of those Midwestern states. the Southeast zone, which contains like states like Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina. That's a good state zone, and the states in those zones that have a high volume of inbound and outbound freight, as well as the Southwest zone. The state in the Southwest zone, particularly, is Texas, has a high volume of outbound and inbound freight. So you can potentially or conceivably set up a triangular coordinated run for your driver into and out of those, like from Illinois down to Georgia, over to Texas, back up to Illinois, because you know that you're going to consistently get loads. Now, I wouldn't send nobody to Boise, Idaho, or Helena, Montana, because I know he's going to be sitting there for some days, right? So, yeah, I wouldn't do that. But that's how you would do it. So that's called load planning and load strategizing. Okay, you are planning and sending your carriers to areas. And as you establish relationships with the brokers in those states, you'll ask them, hey man, how often do you move loads into and out of these lanes? And they'll tell you, we do it daily, we do once a week, we do it all the time, monthly. So you can kind of plan and say, well, our driver just successfully did one load for you guys. I can keep this driver coming back and forth to you if you like. And of course, the broker said, yeah, if they like the work of that driver, they're going to go ahead and say yes. So.
Yeah, and I watched the one video chat with the lady that did the cold call. She was working with her husband, and I know it was Frontier Logistics, I believe, and just kind of the flow of the conversation. So I was kind of happy to see that it's not too hard or too strenuous on actually getting those loads, like those lanes that kind of dedicate them and stuff.
To go from like a regular lane to a dedicated lane or a consistent lane, your driver will have to, and this is per each broker, your driver will have to prove themselves by moving consistent freight for that same broker over time and doing it successfully, like delivering on time, nothing's damaged, no claims filed against them or anything like that. So over time, the broker will see, hey man, your driver's been moving with us pretty good for the past 6 months. I got this other lane that's opening up. It's going to be dedicated. Are you interested? And of course, you're going to say yes. So that's how that works. So. Okay.
All right, cool. That's cool. And then the software for like storing the driver information, that's like going to be, is that through the back office, or is it a different software I could use or I would have to find?
Well, as for new dispatchers, I recommend just using an Excel spreadsheet, because you're not going to start off real big. You're going to have like maybe not even 5 drivers, right? So it's easy to just store drivers first and last, and in sales and records, first and last name, email, cell number, their equipment type, their weight capacity, the lanes they want to go to. So you create a spreadsheet and you just put, sales in there that you figure that you want to itemize how you keep track of those drivers per each driver, and you create records for each drivers in those sales. Now, when you start to grow and scale to the point where you need something better, then you want to consider maybe purchasing an out-of-the-box, what's called a TMS system, what shippers and brokers use, transportation management software. But that comes later on, and that's going to be way later on, because you want to keep your overhead low. You don't want to invest in something that you really don't need,
Yeah. Sure.
That's like you commuting, you buying a Maybach, but you're commuting to work, back and forth to work, but you bought a Maybach to do it. That's like that's an overkill, right? So
yeah,
it's
a little unnecessary.
Concept. Yeah, it's a little unnecessary. So it's the same thing. You want to keep your overhead low, especially new businesses. Just an Excel spreadsheet. I mean, that's what I used when I first started. And file folders on my desktop, because it was cost effective. It was free. I managed it, no big deal. I didn't integrate it with anything because I didn't need to integrate it with anything, because I wasn't integrating with any companies. It was just me, independent dispatcher, right? I'm not sharing my data of my carriers with anyone. So.
Okay. All right. Cool. That's cool, man. Appreciate that. I was kind of like wondering, like, man, how am I gonna kind of have all this stuff so I could be able to fill out those carrier package forms as timely as possible, and I don't have everything all over the place, but. That definitely kind of saves me a little headache.
Now, as far as the carrier packets, filling them out for the brokers for a particular carrier, some brokers are going to send you an onboarding packet where you like My Carrier Packets or RMIS, other brokers are going to attach it to an email and send it to you so you fill it out. Now you may have to invest in like Jot form or PDF filler or DocuSign to put that in there to utilize, right? And that way you make the fields that you want to fill out, you make them editable, and then you click in and edit it and then hit submit and send it back to them. Now that may be something that you want to think of later on as you to kind of streamline your process. But even then that comes later on too, because if you get one carrier, you're not going to need that with one carrier. You probably want to do it manually starting out until it gets to a point. If you're booking a lot of loads for that one specific carrier, then yeah, you would consider DocuSign, PDF filler, or Jot form. So have you heard of these softwares, these e-signature type softwares?
I've heard of them on some of the videos that you talked about, like the PDF filler, and I'm familiar with using like PDF filler as well too. I've heard of Jot forms, but I haven't used the software, but I'm definitely familiar with PDF filler.
Okay, so Jot form it's a free online form builder. So that's something that you can build on your end. I'm not sure if this is something you can build on your end. So if you get to the point where you want to put your dispatcher agreement in a Jot form to send it to the carrier so they can fill it out quickly and get it to you, then that's what you use there. DocuSign it goes back and forth where you can import PDFs into it, fill them out, and then export them back to the source of where they sent it from, like the brokers, for example, so on and so forth. I'm going to copy this and put it in the chat. You know how to access the chat to get stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it's right there. So, and you can save your chat too. You can click the little 3 dots down there by your name to the right, and it says more, and then you yeah. So once we do that, we can go from there. But yeah, so that's one example. Jot form, PDF, DocuSign is another one. And I'm not sure if you've heard of DocuSign, but DocuSign is one of the bigger ones. They have a free 30-day trial. You could play with and experiment with that. Put that in there as well. So, okay.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yep. All right.
Thank you. Let's see. And then also too, I just wanted to know, like, what has your experience been like for like booking loads for drivers, like around their birthdays and holidays and things like that? Is it something I should just kind of avoid, or
well,
I guess
you book loads based off of the driver's profile. Now, if they add information in their profile saying that they want to be off certain days, like their birthday, for example, then you try to book around that.
Right.
But here's an example of a carrier profile that you send. You send a dispatcher agreement and a profile to the drivers. Now and this is just a template. You can add stuff in there like what days do you want to be off? Do you like to be off on your birthday? What day is that? So I'll know to book around. You want to tweak that for your specific company. This is just a good starting point for you, but you can tweak it to do that if you want. So,
yeah. Yeah,
some drivers will work through their birthday because it's just them. They have no family. It's just them by themselves, no wife, no kids, and they're just working on the road. So they really don't care. They want to make that money. Other drivers do have families, so it's a case-by-case basis, but you can tailor your profile to kind of accommodate that.
Right. Okay. That's cool. Yeah, because I definitely had some things that I was going to add into the carrier profile as well too. Just like areas they don't want to go into at all, things like that. How long they actually want to be on the road. Because I used to work for Budweiser in Chicago, so I'm familiar with like the OTRs and kind of the setup and everything. I just haven't had any actual training within it, but I'm familiar with the process of everything. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, and then let's see. For like cold call, well, I could make like a cheat sheet for like even the cold calls to the drivers, as well as like a cheat sheet for brokers too, to kind of just run through questions that I know I need to ask and things like that.
Yeah, so in our back office, it's a great question. We have a load details cheat sheet in our forms and document area. because per equipment type, there are certain questions that you would ask the broker, or that the broker right here, load details cheat sheet, this PDF, we would, because sometimes brokers don't put in all the details of a specific load for that specific equipment type. So then you as a dispatcher, you would ask those questions to fill in that blank, because the purpose of that is you want to inform your driver of everything that they need to know about the loads, so that they can make a decision as to whether they take the load.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So the cheat sheet's right there.
And I understand that being transparent, because currently right now I'm EMT for private, and I have a dispatcher. So, sometimes they aren't too transparent with what you're about to walk into. So I understand that feeling of not having somebody super transparent with you. And then at Budweiser, just as a manager, I was managing nights. So, and I was young too at the time. I was 24, 25. So I knew that being transparent and being straightforward was kind of my only way that I was going to be able to relate with older men. And I was 4 years young. I was 4 years younger than the youngest person that I was managing.
Okay. There you go.
So I definitely understand that. So that's why I asked about the cheat sheet too, just so I can know, so I get as much details about the load as possible to give that to the carrier. Because I know everybody as long as everybody knows exactly what they're doing or what they're getting themselves into, it's like they don't feel like you're trying to get something over on them, or you're leaving out important details or something like that. So,
and that's the main reason to get the important detail, because the carrier needs to know, like, when is the load picking up? Where is it going? Where is it picking up? Are there appointed times for that? Or is it an FCFS, which is first come, first served? What's the commodity? How much does it weigh? What are the special instructions? Are there lumpers? Detention policy, things that the carrier normally asks, because they're used to running certain loads a specific way. So if you communicate a load that you found for them, but you're not sharing some information that they normally are used to hearing, they're going to start asking you. So that's, you want to kind of beat them to the punch by getting all that data from the broker, and then you just sharing everything so they can say, okay, yeah, I think that's a decent load. Let's discuss the rate and then go from there.
Cool. So yeah, I'm definitely going to look into that cheat sheet and really understand that, so I can know exactly what to ask brokers, and then at the same time to know exactly what information I need to give over to the carriers. I'm not missing anything, so that's perfect. Let me see. For loads booked through like the brokers, is there a way for me to contact like the actual shipper about the lane availability? Or even getting like the logistics manager phone number to be able to make like a cold call to them?
Only way is you can have your carrier work directly through shippers, but when you do brokered loads, you cannot back solicit the shippers on those rate confirmations on those for that brokered load, because that'll breach that contract and your carrier won't get paid.
Okay.
Do people do it? Of course they do, but it's in writing. The broker carrier agreement, it'll matter of fact, let's go to our tools and resources, or no, we're in our back office miscellaneous documents. So the broker's onboarding documents, broker carrier agreement and rate confirmation. So the broker carrier agreement, this is a template of what one looks like. There should be something in here about back solicitation, the broker's responsibilities, the carrier's responsibilities, that they cannot back solicit, in other words, talk to the shippers and go around the broker and say, hey, I got this brokered load from this shipper, but I can deal with you directly after this load is delivered. The broker prevents that. While you're under that brokerage, you cannot back solicit to that shipper directly. But you can do Google searches for shippers and manufacturers in areas of where your carrier is going to be, and try to get direct connections with the shippers to kind of eliminate the broker. See right here where it says no back solicitation. So unless otherwise agreed in writing, carrier should not knowingly solicit freight shipments for a period of 24 or X amount of months following termination of this agreement. So even after you've done that agreement or you're done working with that broker, they even say you can't even go to the shipper after 24. So most carriers don't even read this.
You're right. Okay. Yeah, that's 24 month period. Yeah, that's pretty much 2 years. You still can't have any contact with that shipper.
Right. And then they'll charge, and they're saying you do like 20%, commission. If you do it and you start making money, you got to give us so much, right? In the event of breach of this provision, broker shall be entitled for a period of 36 or X amount of months following delivery of this shipment by the carrier under the agreement to a commission of 20% or let's say 50% of the gross transportation revenue as evidenced by. So they're saying if you, even after you agree with us and this agreement is gone and has been expired, so many months after that, if you back solicit to our shipper and you start making money from that shipper, you owe us 20% or 50% of whatever they determine. So most carriers don't read that. So, and then another thing is a confidentiality thing. So there's so many things that, as a dispatcher, you can leverage this knowledge and educate your carrier saying, this, that, and the third. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. And my very last question would be, what are the next 5 moves I need to make after the training course so I can successfully start dispatching?
You can successfully start dispatching while you're training. I got students who are dispatching while they're training. Yes, you can do that at the same time. I got people setting up their business license and LLC and EIN while they're waiting for that to become active. They are training and learning the skills. So they're trying to, kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So by the time that becomes active, they have enough skill set because they're going after carriers, making cold calls, either going to the truck stops, doing social media campaigning, email, text campaigns, or whatever they're doing to leverage that knowledge at the same time, waiting for their business to become active. So by the time that business become active, they're already ready. They already got their first carrier and they already got their office set up, and everything to go. So you can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, kind of tweak it like that.
Okay. Just do all the back stuff first right now while I'm still doing the training. And then when the training's over, even building relationships too, getting the carriers, cold calling. Okay.
Exactly. Yep. Getting the carriers, either cold calling, because there's several ways to get carriers. It's not just cold calling. So most people are under the impression it's just cold calling, and that's not the case. So in module 1 in our back office, so you're getting a glimpse of the back office here. So we have, we tell you about the equipment types. So the methods used to acquire the carriers, number 1 method, you visit the truck stops, talk to them directly, make eye contact. You're looking at them, they see your mannerisms, your sincerity, how you are as a person, how you communicate, how you're talking to them. They feel your disposition, they feel who you are, and they can make a judgment right there based off of that experience, that impression, if you will, right? Yeah. Another way is cold calling, obviously. And then you have word of mouth. Someone may know of someone that needs a dispatcher, they'll contact you. Text scripts, we have a PDF of that, an example of one. Email campaigns or email scripts, we have an example of that. So there's several ways. And then we got social media, Facebook groups, owner-operator groups in Facebook, LinkedIn, which is an excellent resource. You got groups in LinkedIn that you can join and then start advertising, soliciting your services, because you are offering to them a service as a dispatcher. You're providing a service to them. So, okay.
So yeah, because I saw, like I said, I watched a lot of the videos, so I definitely understood the truck stops. I forgot about the text scripts and the email. So that's okay. That's why I just write that down so I don't forget that again. So okay, cool. Like I said, I have a couple of people already in my contact base. I've already talked to 2 people, so they're kind of just waiting on me to kind of get going. And even with the scaling for the dispatch side, I have a couple of people that are willing to come in too. But my goal is to just start off.
Yeah, don't scale until you get to a point where you can
handle
all the trucks that you got by yourself. You can handle 5, 6 trucks by yourself. If you get to whatever that number is, that threshold is that you surpass, that you say to yourself, I no longer can handle it by myself, that's when you scale.
Yeah. Right? Okay. Yeah, that's kind of the plan, to get myself up to 5 and kind of run with those for a pretty long time and get a nice system in order. Pretty much a system that can run itself without me being there, and then start to look into that process of scaling, as well as having a lane too, to kind of be able to make that process, bring somebody else in a little bit smoother too. So it's just not.
Now you're talking automation. Now you're talking automation. Yep.
Yeah. Once I got it to that point, that's when I was going to start to look to scale and things of that nature. and go out and recruit more drivers, and the whole, just rinse, wash, repeat type of thing.
Good job.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let me see. I think that was pretty much my last question. I guess my last one, I'm sorry about that, would probably just be any possible challenges I may be facing along the way or through the dispatching industry, or detrimental challenges, I'll say, things that would be kind of detrimental to me if I'm not aware of it.
Okay, well, first of all, the challenge is, the first challenge is getting a carrier to agree for you to be their dispatcher.
Okay.
The next challenge is keeping them running, finding good loads for them consistently. The detrimental challenge is something that's detrimental, that if you don't do it, it'll probably cost you the loan. If you are not communicating effectively between you and the broker, extracting data from them, and you're not communicating effectively to the carrier, sharing that data, that could be detrimental, because you can either potentially put your carrier under a load that they're not ready to take, not qualified to take, or just can't take. So ineffective communication is detrimental to dispatchers. Okay. Unethical, unlawful behavior is detrimental to dispatchers. What do I mean by that? Unethical behavior from a dispatcher's perspective, basically like cheating at the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doing things that you know that you shouldn't be doing, like with brokers or doing with carriers. And you would know that. I'm not gonna really share on here because this is a recording, but and I'm not saying it in a negative way, but just high level, like it's like unethical, irresponsible behaviors, ineffective communication. That's the number one detrimental thing that you need to look out for. So how do you turn ineffective communication into effective communication? That's the challenge. Well, it's not really a challenge. If you start off correctly, then you won't even have to worry about ineffective, because you're always doing it effectively. So what is effective communication? Well, when you're dealing with the brokers, you want to make sure that you have in front of you your list of questions that you always want to ask them for your carrier, depending on the equipment type of your carrier. So if it's a drive-in, if it's a flatbed, if it's a reefer, then you need to ask the specific questions of that particular equipment type. For example, flatbeds, right? When you're talking to the broker trying to book a load that you found on a load board for your carrier, you want to ask them, okay, this is a flatbed load. It's going from Indianapolis to Atlanta. Does it need to be tarped? Does it need chains? Does it need binders, pipe stakes, dunnage? What's the commodity? What's the weight? How many stops is it for this lane or on this load that I'm trying to book with you? Is the rate negotiable? Are the pickups and the deliveries, are the pickup from the shippers, however many shippers I'm picking up from, however many stops, are they appointed times, or is it a first come, first serve? So these are some of the things you ask for the flatbed category. In the reefer or refrigerated category, you ask questions like, because that's temperature controlled, right? So you say, well, what's the commodity? What's the temperature? Is it continuous? Does it need to be ran continuously? How many stops? Because with reefers, you know, there's a greater chance for it to be multiple stops with reefer freight, always. It's a greater chance because you're taking stuff to like cold storages, to different distribution centers. So you're going to have multiple stops and almost in 80% of the time. Is it appointed time, multiple stops? What's the weight? What's the commodity? Things like that. What's the rate? What's it paying? Is it negotiable? Some of the questions across the equipment types are the same, they're standard. Others are different based off of the equipment type, and you have to become familiar with that. So that's effective communication, and that's between you and the broker. Then between you and the carrier, effective communication is basically sharing the results of the communication that you had with the broker, sharing that data, because the carrier needs to know, because this is the person who is transporting the goods, the commodity, and they need to know everything and you also need to ask your carrier before you find a load or book a load for them. Hey man, how many hours of service? Do you have enough hours to pick this next load up or to even deliver the next load? They can pick it up and then they can do their reset with the freight on their trailers at a truck stop. but if at least they want to have enough time to pick it up. So the carrier will hear that and know that you understand their plight, if you will, that you understand what they do. They're out, you're asking about hours of service. You're a pretty good dispatcher because you want to make sure that your carrier is working within compliance, right? Hours of service has to do with compliance, because if you're outside of hours of service, you can't move that truck, or you'll get dinged. So things like that. So, and then you'll learn that as you go, as a new dispatcher, as you go, you'll pick up on those things. And then being in a particular training, like our training or someone else's, hopefully the instructor will, convey that to you as well. Certain things that as a dispatcher, you want to kind of share with the drivers, and then having good negotiating skills to get better rates for your carriers as a dispatcher. You want to squeeze as much out of the broker as possible, especially being familiar with the market and what it pays for that specific commodity or for that specific equipment type in that specific lane. So that will come over time too. As you progress and dispatch, you'll start to pick up, hey, this particular lane going from Midwest to East pays this much, but from the East Coast to the West Coast, or from the East Coast down to the Southeast or to the Southwest, it pays this much. You'll start to pick up what hot markets and where they're located and what lanes they are in. Like going from California with produce all the way to the East Coast pays more than coming from the East Coast out to California. And you'll pick up on those things. You'll pick up on seasonal commodities and what to book loads for. All those things will come over time. So, and you'll be able to start to effectively communicate with your carriers those things, and they'll be appreciative for you. Okay.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So transparency is being transparent and really knowing your information, know what you're supposed to be asking, know what you're supposed to look for, getting as much information.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I just kind of like, it's playing in my head. So that's why I was kind of like saying stuff, but I'm thinking about like, okay, this is exactly how it's supposed to go and things like that.
Yeah. It's not sugar coated, and there's no smoke and mirrors. It is what it is, right? Because carriers are direct. They like, look, I mean, what am I picking up? How much is it paying? Is it worth it? Where is it going? Carrier, like, so if you were a carrier, these are some of the questions you would ask, right? Because you need to know certain things, especially if you're used to being over the road and running loads all the time with different brokers. You're going to ask some of the common questions. So as a dispatcher, you need to realize and understand what they are and start to incorporate your mentality and philosophy in unison or in parallel with the carriers, so that the more understanding you have of how your carrier runs, the better the dispatcher you will become. So that's important.
That makes sense. Yeah, that carrier profile is key. It's very key, staying very close in line with that carrier profile then.
Right. So we give you a beginner template, but you can add to, tweak, and take away from it as you apply it to your philosophy, to your business philosophy, your company.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah. Yeah, those are all the questions I had. I kind of booked the hour because I didn't know how long it was going to run, and I didn't want to kind of rush through it. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have. I'm definitely buying your course today. I just wanted to just kind of have that conversation just so I could kind of be kind of planning out the system and how to go about it as I go through the course, and I set everything up so I could just have a really good footing before I start, or a good heading. You know? That's a wise way to do it. You always want to get your foundation established and your systems in place, your processes set up, and then if you got a system in place, you can plug in anything into the system. It's going to run the same way, but get the system in place first. So yep. Yep. It's definitely what I was trying to do. So, man, I definitely appreciate everything. Really do. Even like I say, even the stuff on YouTube, like, is very helpful. Very helpful. So, are you a YouTube subscriber to the Dispatcher 101? Yes, I am. Okay, so yeah, this month we are having a 20% off special. Oh, nice. Oh man, that's right on time. Yeah. So I would have to invoice you. Okay. The 20% invoice
as opposed to paying $399, you will pay like $341, and that includes tax and everything. If you want to take advantage of the Dispatcher 101 YouTube 20% off special for the month of September 1st through September 30th.
Oh yeah, yes, I definitely do. And even too, like I'm gonna take the brokering class as well too at some point. But that's way after I'm well versed into the actual dispatching side of it. Like, so I'm gonna be around for a while. I'm gonna be around with you for a while.
Yeah, man, that's cool. That's cool. I got broker training tonight, as a matter of fact. So yeah.
So yes, I'm looking forward to growing and kind of putting my own little twist on it, especially.
Yeah. You good, and from the discussion, you seem like you got your head on your shoulders and you know what you want. So, and that's good. And you're kind of young. You're still in your 20s, right?
Actually, I'll be 31 this month.
Okay, all right. So you look like you're in your 20s.
Appreciate it. And too, I saw that your birthday is the same day as my mom's. My mom's birthday is Christmas Eve too. I had heard that. I was like, oh man, that's pretty solid, man.
Don't hold it against me.
I know I won't at all, man. I won't at all.
Yeah. But if you want me, just email me or text me if you want me to invoice you.
Yeah, you can send the invoice. Do you need my email, or do you still have the AJ Jones?
Yeah, AJ Jones. What was it? 19 something or
1990? Yeah,
1990 at Gmail or something.
At live, I'm gonna put it in the chat again too for you.
Live job. Yeah. I do have it. I'm just entering it. Yeah.
It's okay. It's all good. Yeah, I'm about to get that right now so I could be in there for the class tomorrow afternoon.
Yep. Yeah, so our classes are our live trainings are 3 days a week, and you'll get to them from the Zoom from the website here.
Okay.
Every time. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, Saturdays at 12 noon, and Sundays at 11 a.m. Those times, those Wednesdays and Saturdays are for the beginner entry level. Sundays are more intermediate, but you still can ask basic level questions in the intermediate trainings. So, and in the same way you came into the Zoom now, you successfully did that. It'll be the same way you come in.
Okay.
At those specific times. So, all right.
All right. That sounds like a plan, man. Thank you.
All right, brother. I will get that invoice to you. And are there any more questions?
No, I think I got all my questions out. I know I had a lot, but I appreciate you for being patient with me.
Okay, no problem. All right, you enjoy the rest of your week. I will get that to you today, and then hopefully I'll see you in the training tomorrow.
I appreciate it. You have a good day as well, and you'll definitely see me tomorrow in that training.
All right, Mr. Jones, take care.
All right, you too. Take care.
All right, guys. That was a consultation with Mr. Adam Jones, a potential student. Well, he's going to be. He's taking advantage of the YouTube special. We're having 20% off for our YouTube subscribers of the Dispatcher 101 training for beginners. He had about 11 or so questions. He was not a member right now, but he was asking the questions. He was curious. He heard about the training, the platform for dispatching, independent freight dispatching. And he signed up on the website for a consultation, which is under ELLC services consultation. He scheduled a 1 hour under dispatch consultation, not freight broker. He scheduled a 1 hour Zoom consultation. He scheduled it yesterday. It was for yesterday at 3:30, but I had some stuff I was doing. So I emailed him and said, can we do it another day, tomorrow at 10? He said it was fine. So that's what we did. And I went over, answered his questions. This will be on the YouTube channel, so you guys can view it. So for anyone else who's interested in becoming an independent freight dispatcher, we are growing, by the way, adding more features and trainings to our site. We have our seminar training, $99. This is the new look and feel of our site. That's going to be coming downstream, but I've been making some of the pages live so you guys can kind of get a taste of that. So that's that. And the seminar training, $99. If you enroll in the seminar trainings for $99, and you take that 1-day training and you want to roll over into the ongoing training, you scroll down here, you go to the same page that you purchased the seminar training, you scroll down and you request a voucher, and we will deduct the $99. It'll send me an email, request a voucher. Send me an email, which program did you purchase? You did the Dispatcher 101 seminar. We will deduct that price from the $399 and invoice you the difference. Then we have, of course, the starter kit materials. That's just for someone who doesn't need the training, they just want the starter kit materials with the templates and the forms so they can see and understand what they are to start their dispatching company. We have that, that's the price point for that, you purchase that. And if you purchase the starter kit materials and you say, hey, I thought I didn't need the training, but now I do, and you want to roll over into the ongoing training, again, you request a voucher, first and last name, email, and which program did you purchase? You did the starter kit in that time. And then we will deduct the price of the starter kit from the ongoing training. So it's all about savings with us. And then if you wanted to just go directly into the ongoing training, we come to our training page here, $399 a single member, $599 a 2-for-1. Now, by the way, next year we are going up a little bit in our prices because we're adding more value, and we just need to keep pace with the market and running a business. So the $399 will probably be $599 or $499, and the 2-for-1 probably will be whatever the price of the single member increase will be. The 2-for-1 will go up by $200. So if it's $499, the 2-for-1 will be $699. If it's $599, the 2-for-1 will be $799. And the monthly subscription will go up from $19.99 to $29.99 because we're adding other load boards in there. So, but that's just the cost of doing business. But the value well exceeds the price points, whether the price stays the same or increases, okay? But this month, for YouTube subscribers, Dispatcher 101 Training for Beginners, we're having a 20% off, whether it's single member or 2-for-1. So you can do 20% off the $399, or you can do 20% off the $599 right now from September 1st through September 30th of this month, right, this year. So, right, take advantage of that. If you are a YouTube subscriber, you will email us at exoduslogisticsllc@yahoo.com and let us know that you are a YouTube subscriber and you want to take advantage of the 20% off single member or the 20% off 2-for-1 for the Dispatcher 101 Training for Beginners training program, okay? And go from there. And then you will be able to take advantage of our back office access, our load board access, orientation, business setup, ebooks, glossary, form modules, self-paced, forms and documents, tools and resources, training videos, library, ebook explain, ebook glossary. So much content, so little time, right? But again, to kind of circle back, today's consultation was with Mr. Adam Jones, a future student. He asked his questions, we answered them, he was satisfied, he wants to enroll. We are going to invoice him for the 20% off single member Dispatcher 101 special because he is a YouTube subscriber to our YouTube channel, Dispatcher 101 Training for Beginners. So if you or someone you know is interested in becoming an independent dispatcher and you're looking for different training programs, look no further. We are comprehensive, we are transparent, we are for beginners, those who know very little, if anything, about being an independent freight dispatcher. You can reach me at 757-515-1684, and I will provide details in the description or the comment section of this YouTube video so that you can go down and get all the information to contact us for any questions to be answered, okay? Like us on or connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, right? And these are the services that you can enroll in, okay? So look forward to hearing from you. Today is Friday, September 3rd, 2021. I hope you guys have a safe and pleasant weekend. Thank you.